Hi, it's Ramona. Welcome to my channel. Today, I want to share some information about a book that I've recently read. What I found is that because I'm an author of children's books, oftentimes people are interested in knowing what I've been reading. So I've decided that I will start sharing some of the books that I've read and give you a brief synopsis of the book, let you know if I enjoyed it and if so, why. So, the first book I want to talk about is this book. It's called The Nickel Boys, and it's by Colson Whitehead. And I first learned about this book. I There was a news break that popped up on my cell phone, and oftentimes when I get those, I question whether or not it's fake news or real news. So I read a brief something about Nickel Boys, and I said, is this real? So I decided to do a little bit more research, and then I found out that it is realistic fiction that's based on something that happened in real life. So that prompted me to order the book because I wanted to know more. And it's a very tragic story. Um, another, stain in our history. The story is about, I'll just give you real quickly. It focuses on one of the boys. Actually, yeah, I would say two of the boys. Imagine it's a reform school for boys. It's based and inspired. The story is inspired by the Dozier School for Boys that was in Florida. In this case, this is a young man. He's very smart. He has a bright future. He has an opportunity to go to college, and he's on his way to school, and he accepts a ride. Um, this is something that happened a lot in the 60s. People would thumb a ride, or if say someone is walking and you notice that they may need a ride, you would just maybe pull over and say, "Hey, can I give you a lift?" And people would accept a ride. So in this case, accepting the ride from someone who was driving a stolen car really turned this young man's life around because he did not get proper representation. Um, he didn't get treated right because he was Black. So even though the driver of the car even said that he was hitching a ride, um, basically it didn't matter. They sent him off to this reform school. He didn't get an opportunity to go to college. Um, so that's just a part of it. So the story basically talks about segregation that was going on at that time at the school. So keep in mind, this is in the 1960s during this time of civil rights. Martin Luther King is giving speeches. There's a lot of different people who are trying to ensure that civil rights is something that's available to all Americans. And yet he's in this reform school that has segregation, there's corruption, there's rape, there are deaths. Some of the boys were literally murdered and buried on the site. Um, this young man believed so much in not only Martin Luther King, but other leaders that he took the risk to write a letter and try to get that letter into the right hands. So when you read the story, you'll learn what happens. I think that that letter that was written is really revealed a lot of what was going on. He wrote that letter for his own salvation, but throughout the story, you'll find out about the corruption that was occurring. It didn't really go into a lot about what was happening on the white side of the campus. You did find out that the type of food that was being served to the Black boys was different from the foods that the white boys received. You found out how the food that should have been going to the Black boys was going to some restaurants and business owners in the town. They were doing free labor, basically on and off campus. Um, so it's a dark, tragic story, but also realistic fiction. You know that it's based on something that really happened. And when I, excuse me, when I read the story, it became clear that the reform school in Florida where that was occurring was just one of many. So it sounds as though there were replicas of that same type of treatment that was happening across the country. And there are many boys that were, may have had some little minor offense, if it was even an offense, and ended up in the reform school, like this young man who had such a bright future ahead of him. So, anyway, that's the book I just finished. Um, I wish I read more. I have a bunch of books that I buy, and um, I tend to read more when I get a chance to get a break from all the other daily kind of stuff that gets in our lives. But this is one I would recommend just because it's well written. I always enjoy reading a book that forces me to go to the dictionary a few times, and this one did. There were some words in here that I needed to look up. I find that that's educational for me, and I don't know if I'm going to remember them, but it's very well written. In fact, it's a winner of the Pulitzer Prize. And also, that school that the story is based on was around for 111 years. So, can you imagine? Um, anyway, so that's what I wanted to share with you today. I will share more about other books that I've read or that I plan to read. And so stay tuned. Reading expands our minds. And as you know, it's literacy. So I hope you enjoy this brief video, and I plan to share more about what I'm reading and, kind of give you an overview so you can decide if it's something you might be interested in as well. The Nickel Boys is also a movie now. So for those of you who are interested in watching the movie, just Google the Nickel Boys and it will pop up all the different streaming services where you can watch the movie. I highly recommend reading the book because I did watch the movie and I felt that had I not read the book, that the movie would have been kind of confusing. But I had read the book, so I was able to follow the movie pretty closely. So that's just another tidbit for you. All right. Thanks for listening.